Well, another bank fails. This is not very comforting at all. Federal and state regulators have seized the First Georgia Community Bank in Jackson, Georgia. Another bank is taking over its deposits of nearly $200 million. So how safe is your money in the bank during these very troubled times? We have a financial expert here to talk about this. Marvin Cosgray, the president and CEO of Buckhead Community Bank. Good to see you. Okay, this is pretty nerve-wracking for folks when you start hearing of banks collapsing, which we have heard all year long. People do want to know, is their money safe in the bank of their choosing?
Frederica, these are very uncertain and very unusual times. And I want to tell you that 98% of the banks in the United States are well capitalized, which means they have the resources to handle any downturns in the economy. Now, we also have the safety net of the FDIC. And as you mentioned, there was another bank failure in Georgia, and there have been 23 to date this year in the United States.
An extraordinary number.
It is, except that out of 8,000 total banks in the United States, so that's actually less than 0.25% of the total banks that have failed. And here's the safety net that the FDIC has to offer. Whenever a bank does fail, they do a very good job of making sure that the failed bank is taken over by a healthy bank. They protect and insure all the depositors of that failed bank.
But even when people hear that, okay, FDIC insured,
right.
You know, you want to see that label at the window of a bank. Even when people hear that, they worry about the so-called 80 banks at the beginning of the year that were on this list of troubled banks. It was not being publicly revealed which banks are on that list, so everyone still kind of wonders, you know, FDIC insured or not, is my bank going to be open for me tomorrow when I go to make a deposit or make a withdrawal?
I understand.
Maybe not tomorrow, on Sunday, but Monday.
That's true. That's right. But they shouldn't worry, just like the bank that was just recently taken over. The bank failed Friday. They were able Saturday to have access to their money. They were fully protected, fully insured. They have access to their ATM fees. The bank's open for business Monday. Yes, it's under a new name, but it's with a healthy bank. So really, there's no need to have those kind of concerns.
Is there anything I need to look for? You know, when I go to my bank, are there any telltale signs that, you know, something may be awry here?
Only if you see the FDIC bank examiners in there would you have reason to worry then. But then, even then, they're taking the necessary steps to ensure that everybody is protected and taken care of.
One of the services people are counting on from their bank, loans. They want to buy a car, they want to buy a home, they want to add on to their home. But we keep hearing that folks, even with superb credit rating, with superb credit scores of 750, not even they can get a home or a car loan. What's the reality?
Nadi, here's the reality. I'm in the banking business, and I've been in it for 38 years. And I just returned from Washington, D.C., where I was in a meeting of the American Bankers Association with over 100 bank presidents from across the United States. We're loaning money. So what's it take? What do I need to prove to you that I am not a huge risk? Good question. Here's what you need to have is a very good credit score, anywhere from 680 north of that. And also, what you just have to show is the capacity to repay the loan. And those basic things right there.
You've been on time in the past
and,
with
you know,
other
a good
loans,
credit history is very important. And I would like to recommend also that people establish a very good relationship with their banker. Get to know them and make sure they get to know you too. That's very, very helpful, especially in times like this.
What do you look forward? New administration right around the corner. How hopeful are you of this administration on the appetite and the health of the lending industry, banking industry overall?
I'm very hopeful, and as I said, I just came back from Washington, and the atmosphere there was very positive about the steps that President-elect Obama is taking in answering and addressing the economic downturn that we're having. The FDIC has a program through the Treasury Department where they're going to give banks additional, you've heard of it as bailout money, but actually it's capital money to give banks the ability to continue making loans and to make even more loans, and also to address any problem loans that they have, and to buy out failed institutions or institutions that are having trouble. So it's very positive. Another move that he made, President-elect Obama, was that he appointed as Treasury Secretary the person that was the head of the New York Federal Reserve System, Timothy Geithner. He's very well respected. He's very well thought of.
You like him, his appointments,
I like him very much.
Like him especially.
Yes, and we feel like he will bring trust and confidence back to the financial system, and that's what we really rely on, and that's what we need in our country, is for people to have trust and confidence back in their financial institutions.
And we're hearing from people in so many different ways. We've been inviting people all day long to send us emails, questions, even comments about their confidence in the lending industry, the banking industry, and we do have one right now that I'd love to read to you.
Sure.
If I could see it, please. Need to see it. There we go. All right. I recently lost my job due to downsizing. Like many, I now face the daily battle of feeding my family while staving off foreclosure. My lender has offered to reduce my payment of 50% for the next 90 days. However, they will have to report this to the credit bureau as late incomplete payments. So essentially saying, you know, even by giving a little bit of a break, you get penalized. So here's the question. Is anything being done to reduce the impact of the financial crisis on average Americans in the eyes of the credit bureaus?
I think this is an issue that they need to address. We are glad to see that they are reducing payments to help folks stave off the foreclosures, and I think the credit bureaus will react to that also in a positive manner so that people's credit is not dinged. That would not be fair or equitable to do that, especially in these times and these circumstances. So I'm glad to hear that is a concern, and I'll relay that back to the associations that I belong to.
Well, what light do you see at the end of the tunnel? Because, frankly, when you've got 500,000 jobs lost in 1 month alone, 1 million plus foreclosures this year, a forecast of 1 to 3 foreclosures next year, it would seem that hardly anyone is going to be able to pay back a loan or get a loan. I mean, how can this cycle, you know, become smooth again? Because it seems like there are only rocky times straight ahead.
There are rocky times straight ahead. People need to be patient, and they need to remain calm, first of all, and not panic. And then they also need to assess their personal financial situation. They need to retain and accumulate as much cash as they can, make the minimum amount of payments on their debt, and accumulate cash.
But minimum means, you know, you're paying forever.
Well, that's true, and I'm only suggesting that in the interim.
You don't want to be default, right?
Because I do believe things will turn in the next year. The government is making steps and taking steps to try to turn this around and get the economy stimulated again. And there's some economic stimulus packages that are being planned that should help people bridge through this problem period.
Okay. Marvin Cosgray of Buckhead Community Bank, thanks so much for your expertise. Appreciate it. And
Thank
I know
you.
That's answered a lot of questions for a lot of folks who are just wondering, you know, what next and what do I do with my money, and is there potential for me to try and borrow again? It's scary for everybody.
It is scary, but remain calm and just carry on.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mr. Cosgray. Appreciate it.